Another great sponsor. It's the last Northeast Orthopedics before the game here on High School Football Alabama. John Holder with you on a Thursday night. We're going to preview the first round of the Alabama High School Athletic Association State Football Playoffs next. It's Before the Game, presented by Northeast Orthopedics. John Holder, Tommy Wood for the last time this season. Hard to believe the season has flown by. We're actually in week 12 of high school football, week 1 of the AHSAA State Football Playoffs. And Tommy, a lot of teams in East Alabama, as always, representing our part of the state in the High School Football Association playoffs. And we're going to take a look at every one of those games, 1A to 6A, involving all the teams here in East Alabama.
It is hard to believe that we have reached this point of the season where a lot of teams are playing basketball now, and we move on to the postseason where it's a one-game season. So looking forward to a great first round. Hopefully a lot of our teams will find success, and we'll be able to, again, look into the second round and see them continue their season. Well,
for the second year in a row in the first round of the playoffs, the powerhouse Piedmont Bulldog program is on the road in the first round of the playoffs. They've got a little bit more manageable opponent this year. Last year they had to go on the road up to play in the north, and this time they're going to go over to J.B. Pennington to Bluntsville, and they're going to be taking on a Bluntsville team, a J.B. Pennington team at Bluntsville that they have a good record. I'm not sure how strong the region is. Piedmont comes in having played 2 consecutive overtime games that both came down to 2-point conversions. So, Tommy, Piedmont has been battle-tested the last couple of weeks as they go to Bluntsville to take on the Pennington Tigers.
Well, and Ish Bethel has been playing really good football. He's a playmaker on the outside. He's been able to get some big plays. They're going to need that tomorrow night. You're talking about a J.B. Pennington team. Yeah, they've got 2 losses, but those are to Locust Fork and Madison Academy. Both of those teams are still undefeated. So I think that J.B. Pennington is going to be a good ball game, going to be a good ball team, but I also think that Piedmont's going to have a shot.
All right, let's take a look now. The next game coming up, as we have a number of teams in Calhoun County, not as many as we've had in past years, but I think this is going to be a pretty good game. Number 7 team in Class 6A, Oxford, at home at Lamar Field. That was one of the goals this year, was to get a home playoff game in the first round. They've done that. They have a tradition-rich Athens team coming in. Both teams are 8-2. And Tommy, you get into 6A and 7A football, there are no gimmies. Even in the first round of the playoffs, and this is certainly going to be a good test for the Oxford Yellow Jackets in round 1.
Well, both of these teams lost to Hartselle and very close games. So you look at that, they've got a common opponent there. On the other side, Brogan Gross, who's the quarterback for Athens, has 27 touchdowns. On the other side, you got Mason Mims for Oxford. He's got plenty of touchdowns, and he's like a surgeon back there. The offense has come a long way for the Yellow Jackets. They continue to play well, but going to be a good matchup. I think you'll see a lot of balls in the air coming up tomorrow night.
Walter Welborn Panthers, another team that a goal this year was to play a home playoff game. Last year in the first round of the playoffs, they go on the road and play the eventual state champion St. James. Didn't go well at all in the first round. But now they're back at home at the friendly confines of the Hill at Walter Welborn. They're battling some injuries. They're coming off a tough loss last week to the Cleveland County Tigers at home, but they are the region champions. Everything is wiped clean. They're starting the second season. They've got a Flomaton team coming in from down the Florida border in Escambia County. They're 6-4, but they play in that always rugged Class 3A Region 1, which has produced a ton of Super 7 teams for about the last 10 to 12 years. Flomaton themselves in the Super 7 just 4 years ago. This is a tough test for Welborn.
Well, talking to Coach Jeff Smith earlier this week, I texted him. I said, tell me about Flomaton. His one-word answer, they're big. So looking at a big-time team from Flomaton that's going to come in that may have a size advantage over Welborn. That's something you've seen. The strength of the Panthers all year has been in the offensive front, so they may be able to combat that. But I think last week's loss to Cleveland County may have refocused this Panther team, and I look for them to play much better on the Hill coming up tomorrow night.
Very rarely in round 1 do you get a matchup of marquee blue bloods of high school football, but we have this in Class 4A, Tommy. The Anniston Bulldogs, you know about their tradition for 100 years. And then one of the greatest traditions in all of high school football in this state is the T.R. Miller Tigers. Anniston making the long road trip to Bruton. They'll be at Bruton Municipal Stadium to take on the Tigers. I think this is, we talked all year about sneaky good games. Mm-hmm. I think this is one of those sneaky good games between Anniston and T.R. Miller.
I absolutely think so. And you talk about Anniston, the 3 losses have been to very good football teams. T.R. Miller scored a lot of points down the stretch. Offensively, they're strong. But I'm with you. I think this could be a great matchup coming up down at T.R. Miller.
If you are in Class 4A and you're in Class 4A Regions 1 and 4, this year the way the bracket was drawn out for the Athletic Association, you're playing each other in round 1. That's really not good news for anybody in this region because Region 1 is basically Mobile and the Gulf Coast. Region 4 is here in Northeast Alabama. Some long road trips in this first round. Here's one of them, Bayside Academy in Daphne on the shores of Mobile Bay, coming all the way to Jacksonville to take on the number 8 Golden Eagles.
And I know we may be a little biased, but I've always thought Region 4 and Region 1 were the two toughest regions when you talk about Class 4A. And, of course, you got Jacksonville and Jim Ogle playing well, Kydrick Fisher. Those guys met an Oxford team last year that could match them speed for speed, so that was a big problem in moving the ball last week for the Golden Eagles. On the other side, you got a Bayside Academy team that is coached by former Auburn quarterback Barrett Trotter. They're also a good offensive team, so it's going to be a good matchup. And again, I know talking to Coach Clint Smith, hey, he's just glad to be home this week.
Pleasant Valley Raiders making some history. First time that they have been in the playoffs in 13 years. They're going on the road as the number 3 team out of 2A Region 6. What a tough task they have. Going to number 5 Pisgah, Sam Kinnemer Stadium. Pisgah was in the semifinals last year. They're number 5 this year. Their only loss to defending state champion Fife. Pisgah basically over the last couple of years hasn't lost to anybody but Fife. This is a really good team. Pleasant Valley's never won a playoff game in school history. It's going to be a tough task to go to Pisgah and try to get that first win.
Well, and Pisgah's had a great offense all year long. They've averaged more than 50 points in their last 6 games. They're playing extremely well. We've had Pleasant Valley that's had a few injuries throughout the season. Again, getting into the postseason, a big boost for this program. Hey, never count out the Pleasant Valley Raiders because they're one of those teams, if they can get that ground game going, they can frustrate a lot of teams.
Northeast Orthopedics been great partners with us here at High School Football Alabama, bringing you before the game this entire season, going all the way back to the middle of August. Northeast Orthopedics, they have skilled surgeons. They keep you in motion. They are expanding. They're growing. They're all over Calhoun, Etowah, Cherokee, Marshall, DeKalb counties. They have a new location in Jacksonville, 800 Pelham Road South. Check out their new location. They are now the official sports medicine provider for Jacksonville State University and Jacksonville High School as well. Northeast Orthopedics, great sponsors of High School Football Alabama and great supporters of high school and college football here in East Alabama. We come back, we'll continue previewing all the playoff games in East Alabama.
Whether you're cheering for your team or chasing a personal fitness goal, nothing is more frustrating than an injury that keeps you from the things you love. At Northeast Orthopedics, we understand that life is constantly moving, and we are committed to making sure you keep moving as well. No matter your orthopedic need, Northeast Orthopedics has you covered with 6 convenient locations and 7 highly skilled surgeons. Visit us at northeastorthopedics.com for more information. Northeast Orthopedics, keeping you in motion.
Dedication to the people of this area and involvement in the issues that matter most to his constituents. These are the characteristics of State Representative Randy Wood. Randy was a small business owner for almost 4 decades. He's a member of the Weaver Lions Club, Fraternal Order of Police, and served 6 years in the Alabama National Guard. State Representative Randy Wood, proudly serving the people of District 36 since 2002.
It's been almost a year since East Alabama Now Local News began telling you what was happening in your community and on your street.
That's right. Local makes such a difference. And the great part is you can participate with us. Every weekday evening around 6:30 on either Facebook or YouTube, East Alabama Now Local News comes straight to you. Be sure to join us. Visit us on our Facebook page or our YouTube page. It's not local without you. Your news on your schedule.
Another great sponsor bringing you before the game this year. Representative Randy Wood out of State House District 36, great supporter of our local community. He has been serving this community, a servant for 20 years. Honest, dependable, hardworking, fair-minded, has all of the interests that you have, the things you're concerned about, he's concerned about as well, and he loves this community. No one loves District 36 more than Randy Wood, bringing you high school football Alabamas before the game. And we're back on high school football Alabamas before the game, presented by Northeast Orthopedics. John Holder, Tommy Wood on this Thursday night. Today, early this morning, I was in Heflin at Cleburne County High School. Our reigning after the game, our Ted's Floors and Beyond Team of the Week, the Cleburne County Tigers, coming off that huge win that put them in the playoffs last Friday night on the hill at Walter Welborn. Now they are going to play a dynamite team. They're going 4 hours all the way down to Jackson to take on a team that's ranked number 2 in the state. They're undefeated, the Jackson Aggies. This is a long road trip and a tough opponent coming up for Cleburne County.
Well, you talk about Jackson. They've got Landon Duckworth, one of the top quarterbacks in the South. He's a 10th grader, and he's already committed to play at Arkansas, or South Carolina, I should say. Also, you've got E.J. Crowell, who's a 9th grade running back, and he's got offers from the likes of Oregon, Ole Miss, and Arizona. A very talented Jackson team that a lot of folks say they have every right to be in Tuscaloosa at the end of the year. So you got a formidable opponent there, but you talk about Cleburne County. Teams around here, a lot. I know everybody earns their trip to the playoffs, but the Tigers may have had to taken the hardest road to get there. They have earned this opportunity, first road trip or playoff trip since 2015.
They'll be huge for the Cleburne County Tigers going to Jackson. We mentioned Anniston going to Bruton, the team just across Murder Creek from T.R. Miller High School in Bruton is W.S. Neal High School in East Bruton. They've got a fantastic team as well. They're coming for the 3A playoffs to play at Randolph County at Wedowee. And I know W.S. Neal's 6-4, but like 4A Region 1, 3A Region 1 has been very good as well through the years as we documented. I think, Tommy, this is going to be a surprisingly good game. This is a really good W.S. Neal team coming to Wedowee.
Well, 3 of their 4 losses are to Mobile Christian, Thomasville, and then against T.R. Miller. So that's a very good opponents that they've fallen to when you talk about W.S. Neal. On the other side, Randolph County, they've got to lean on that running game. A couple of running backs. Also mentioned Avion Wills. He is a defensive back. Last week, 3 interceptions on 3 consecutive drives. He can play some defense, and they're going to need that tomorrow night.
Another team from deep in southwest Alabama that's coming up here into East Alabama is the St. Michael Catholic team. And they're from over in Baldwin County, coached by Phillip Rivers, the great quarterback that played in the NFL for so many years with the San Diego Chargers and so forth. Just a great quarterback, and he's a coach. His dad was a great high school coach at Decatur and Athens through the years. And so he knows what he's doing, not only as a player, but as a coach as well. And he's bringing his team to take on Larry Strain and the Hanley Tigers. This game will be in Roanoke, again coming out of that tough Class 4A Region 1.
Well, and his son is a dynamic quarterback just as well. He's following in his father's footsteps. And you talk about Hanley, this season they have faced, I think, probably about 5 D1 prospects in their first 11 games. They have had some incredible quarterback opponents. But, you know, the Hanley Tigers, just like every Larry Strain team, they continue to get better as the year goes on. And I think they're really starting to peak as we open up the postseason.
Hanley head coach Larry Strain will join us on After the Game tomorrow night after that St. Michael game, that first round Class 4A matchup. Just down Highway 22. What a year it's been, again, for teams in Randolph County. 3 of the 4 schools in Randolph County in the state playoffs, and you look at those 3 schools, and Tommy, they're all 9-1. Wadley, number 6 team in Class 1A, they are at home at Curtis Lynch Memorial Stadium, taking on Cedar Bluff. One of 2 games involving local teams playing each other. Both of those are in 1A, and this game is tonight down at Wadley.
Yeah, and you talk about Wadley, and what a great last couple of years it's been. Of course, they were in the championship a couple of years ago, and they've got every opportunity to do that again. Their only loss has been to Randolph County, another great team that's still playing some football. And Cedar Bluff on the other side, strong running game, but that game tonight is going to be a big-time matchup down at Curtis Lynch Stadium.
Boy, the storylines in this game, I don't know if there's a game in the state that has more storylines than the game that you and I will both be at tomorrow night. Volunteer Stadium, number 3 Central of Clay County, undefeated, the first 10-0 season in school history, taking on another blue blood program, UMS Wright Prep, coming out of Mobile. The 2 winningest coaches in high school history in this state, Terry Curtis of UMS Wright, Danny Horn of Central of Clay County. This is going to be a dynamite game. And Tommy, we talk about injuries, and injuries are going to be a big theme in this game as well for Central Clay.
Yeah, they lost their dynamic running back last week. LaDamian Boyd had rushed for 26 touchdowns, 1,600 yards on the season. Severe ankle injury last week. He is lost for the year. And he has really been the leader of that volunteer offense all season long. So who will replace him? I think you're going to see a tailback by committee. But again, you talk about a coaching matchup. This is not a normal UMS Wright team. And for Coach Terry Curtis to get this team to the postseason has been impressive. And when you get into a matchup like this, again, the 2 coaches have combined for over 700 wins. They go head-to-head. You know that UMS Wright is going to be well coached. They're going to be fundamentally sound. And again, it's kind of a how will the Volunteers respond to losing one of their top players?
The number 1 team in the state, and they've been number 1 for a long time this year in Class 2A, is the B.B. Comer Tigers. They're at home, Legion Stadium in Sylacauga, hosting Washington County. The Bulldogs coming up from Chatham. This is the way it is this year. Tons of teams from Southwest Alabama coming to East Alabama. Tons of teams from East Alabama going to Southwest Alabama. It's just the way the brackets are falling. B.B. Comer, though, with a 10-0 record, Washington County 4-6. The Tigers will be a big favorite in this one.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're talking about a team that's their first undefeated season since 1995. They've got good play all the way around. They got good size, good quarterback play and running back as well. B.B. Comer's a very strong team. Washington County, one of those teams that in the 2000s, in the early, they seem to be always around. Then they hit some hard times. Their first playoff trip since 2016.
We're about halfway there. We still have a lot of games to preview in the playoffs here in East Alabama. We'll continue on Before the Game, presented by Northeast Orthopedics.
Dedication to the people of this area and involvement in the issues that matter most to his constituents. These are the characteristics of State Representative Randy Wood. Randy was a small business owner for almost 4 decades. He's a member of the Weaver Lions Club, Fraternal Order of Police, and served 6 years in the Alabama National Guard. State Representative Randy Wood, proudly serving the people of District 36 since 2002.
It's been almost a year since East Alabama Now Local News began telling you what was happening in your community and on your street.
That's right. Local makes such a difference. And the great part is you can participate with us. Every weekday evening around 6:30 on either Facebook or YouTube, East Alabama Now Local News comes straight to you. Be sure to join us. Visit us on our Facebook page or our YouTube page. It's not local without you. Your news on your schedule.
Whether you're cheering for your team or chasing a personal fitness goal, nothing is more frustrating than an injury that keeps you from the things you love. At Northeast Orthopedics, we understand that life is constantly moving, and we are committed to making sure you keep moving as well. No matter your orthopedic need, Northeast Orthopedics has you covered with 6 convenient locations and 7 highly skilled surgeons. Visit us at northeastorthopedics.com for more information. Northeast Orthopedics, keeping you in motion.
High school football, Alabama's Before the Game, presented by Northeast Orthopedics on Thursday night, our last show of the year on the, not the eve of the first round of the playoffs. We got 34 games in the state tonight in the AHSAA Playoffs, with it being Veterans Day Saturday, but most schools are celebrating the holiday, commemorating the holiday coming up tomorrow. So a lot of games tonight on a Thursday night. One of the games that's not on Thursday night, this is interesting. We have 2 teams from East Alabama that will both play football playoff games at West Morgan High School in Trinity. One tonight, one tomorrow night. So that's interesting because Decatur Heritage uses West Morgan Stadium. They, for some reason, got the Friday night draw instead of the Thursday night draw. So Decatur Heritage will be at home hosting the Winterboro Bulldogs. And I know Decatur Heritage is 9-1. They're ranked number 8 in the state in 1A. But, Tommy, I think Winterboro could really cause some problems for the Eagles up in Morgan County.
They really could. I mean, Winterboro is a very explosive team. Deontay Smoot ran for over 200 yards last week. He's been doing it all season long. They get that running game going. Winterboro's got some guys so excited to be in the playoffs. I mean, this is really big for the Bulldog program. I think that they have high expectations going on the road and grabbing a win.
This next game in Class 5A play, Tommy, I believe this is going to be one of the more entertaining games in the state in any class as far as two teams that are very good, high-flying, high-powered offenses, a lot of talent all over the field. Moody, because of tiebreakers, I mean, they would win a lot of regions in this state, a lot of regions, but because of tiebreakers, they fell all the way to number 3. They're ranked number 6 in the state. They only have 2 losses, one of those to a team from Maryland, the other one a close loss to Leeds. Yet they're on the road in the first round of the playoffs. Not the kind of opponent you want to see coming to town. Scottsboro up at Trammell Stadium has a double tough Moody team coming to town.
They really do. Moody is a very explosive team, and they go in, and I'm sure they're not happy about having to travel in the first round. Scottsboro, a team that loves to run the football, and you talk about a Moody team, very balanced offensively.
It's been a very nice season for the Springville Tigers. Springville getting into the state playoffs, had a couple of big wins this year, playing really good football down the stretch with wins against Lincoln. They also beat Pell City last week in an overtime game. I mean, this is a Springville team that's coming on, going to play number 8 Gunnersville at Chorley Stadium on the Lake in Gunnersville tomorrow night.
When you talk about Springville, Milan Alverson has had a great year. First trip to the playoffs in a long time for Springville. Folks are extremely excited. They don't care if you have to go on the road. They would love to get a win over a very tough team.
In Class 1A play, Raglan and Valley Head. Now, this game will be at Valley Head. Again, this is not for Valley Head the typical Class 1A number 3 team coming in. This is a very good Raglan team. And Raglan and Valley Head have played 6 times over the last 6 years. This will be the second time they've played in the state playoffs. And I'll tell you, in the previous 5, Raglan has won 4 of the 5. They dominated this series. Raglan's been to Tiger Stadium in Valley Head. They've been there as recent as last year. It's going to be a tough game in Class 1A for the Tigers, I think.
And Raglan's also won 4 of their last 5 games as well. Only lost to Spring Garden. They're playing some pretty good football. Again, Raglan, a good opportunity to go in here and steal a win.
Cherokee County Warriors, they lost a game last week, their first loss of the season, but that was to 6A Fort Payne at home. Now they kind of reset the season. They get ready for a home playoff game. This is another Thursday night game, Tommy. They're playing this game tonight at Bobby Joe Johnson Field. Center getting a lot of respect from the ASWA folks, only dropping from 2 to 4 with that loss to a team 2 classes up. Center playing tonight at home against the Central Wildcats.
Well, we talk a lot about Jacob Cornejo and what a great job he's done for Cherokee County, but Carson Tittle, the quarterback, has become quite a weapon as the season's progressed. And again, you're talking about a team that has really performed well down the stretch. That loss last week, it may be one of those blessings in disguise as we get to the postseason.
This is, without question, Tommy, without question, the marquee game in East Alabama. We mentioned that we only had 2 games involving East Alabama teams playing each other in the first round. You talk about storylines. Oh, wow, this is a big one. Spring Garden and Coosa Christian playing at Spring Garden Friday night at Jason Howard Field. They have played 4 times since last August. Coosa Christian has won 2 of those 3. Last year in the regular season, Spring Garden won at Coosa handily, 27-0. Then, in a bit of an upset in the second round of the playoffs last year at Spring Garden, Coosa got revenge, 31-28. A Hail Mary pass away from going to the Super 7. This year, they play at Spring Garden. Coosa wins 21-6, but Spring Garden has 4 turnovers in the game. Now comes rematch number 3, I guess, of this game. The 4th meeting in about, 14 months, something like that, between Spring Garden and Coosa Christian.
Well, when they met the first time, Spring Garden, they had more turnovers than a pastry shop. I mean, pretty much the first half of the season, it was turnover city, and that really cost them in that game. Coosa Christian lost the season opener, but since that time, they've got 7 shutouts, and they've only given up like 13 points. So this really develops into quite a matchup coming up.
Don't be fooled by Coosa's record there. They lost to Geraldine. That's basically as far as on-the-field losses. that has been it. This is two of the better Class 1A teams in North Alabama. Let's tell you about Alabama Teachers Credit Union. Fantastic folks at ATCU. Those folks, you go to atcu.com, a wealth of information there. Loans, great loans. If you are a student, if you work, if you live anywhere in Calhoun, Etowah, Cherokee, Marshall counties, you can be a member of Alabama Teachers Credit Union. And trust me, you want to do that. When you're getting ready for your next loan, for whatever the reason is, you want to be sure to check out and be a member of Alabama Teachers Credit Union. They also bring you our bottom line on Friday nights on After the Game. We come back, we'll look at the last few games here in East Alabama as Before the Game rolls on, presented by Northeast Orthopedics.
Dedication to the people of this area and involvement in the issues that matter most to his constituents. These are the characteristics of State Representative Randy Wood. Randy was a small business owner for almost 4 decades. He's a member of the Weaver Lions Club, Fraternal Order of Police, and served 6 years in the Alabama National Guard. State Representative Randy Wood, proudly serving the people of District 36 since 2002.
It's been almost a year since East Alabama Now Local News began telling you what was happening in your community and on your street.
That's right. Local makes such a difference. And the great part is you can participate with us. Every weekday evening around 6:30 on either Facebook or YouTube, East Alabama Now Local News comes straight to you. Be sure to join us. Visit us on our Facebook page or our YouTube page. It's not local without you. Your news on your schedule.
Whether you're cheering for your team or chasing a personal fitness goal, nothing is more frustrating than an injury that keeps you from the things you love. At Northeast Orthopedics, we understand that life is constantly moving, and we are committed to making sure you keep moving as well. No matter your orthopedic need, Northeast Orthopedics has you covered with 6 convenient locations and 7 highly skilled surgeons. Visit us at northeastorthopedics.com for more information. Northeast Orthopedics, keeping you in motion.
EAN Local News. Go to eastalabamanow.com. Check us out on social media, Facebook, YouTube, East Alabama Now, East Alabama Local News, EAN Local News. I'm on there doing the weather. Namath Pitts, who will be along with Pitts Pickums in just a couple of moments. He has your local sports covered. Also, we have Mike Stedeman, Katie Edwards, bringing you all the local news that matters, all local, all right here centered in East Alabama. Everything we do, news-wise, sports-wise, and weather-wise, is all local. East Alabama Now, EAN Local News. Check us out every weekday evening. And we're back on Before the Game, East Alabama's premier place to be for looking at all the games in East Alabama. We're going to continue to do that. John Holder, Tommy Wood, presented by the folks at Northeast Orthopedics. 5 games left to preview. All 5 of those involve teams in Etowah County. Hoax Bluff Eagles, 5-5. A couple of heartbreaking losses. They lost to Piedmont. They lost to Sardis, a county rival last week. Now they go on the road to take on the number 2 team in 3 as they go to Madison to take on the Madison Academy Mustangs. This series is tied at 1-1. I'll tell you, though, I know Coach Mike Robertson at Hoax Bluff. Hoax Bluff will give Madison Academy all they want coming up Friday night.
Well, I think a big key to that is being able to run the football. I mean, they've been able to get the running game going here in the last half of the season. If they can keep the football away from Madison Academy, look, you've got a Mustang team that comes in averaging 53 points a game. They've scored over 40 in 9 of their 10 games. So a high-flying offense for Madison Academy. But knowing Coach Rob and all the folks there, if they can keep the football away and rattle those chains, again, chance to pull off a big upset here.
Well, another rematch coming up. Again, we don't see rematches very often in the first round of the playoffs, but we're going to have one in Class 5A. Barney Hood Stadium in Southside, number 7 Southside, 8-2. Huge come-from-behind win over Etowah last week. They played Boaz at midseason at Barney Hood Stadium. Boaz led this game in the fourth quarter, 42-28. Southside brought it all the way back, tied it 42-42, sent the game to overtime. Boaz kicked the field goal in their part of the overtime, but then Southside scored a touchdown to win the game, 48-45 in overtime. A thrilling game, and now these two teams meet right back at the same site once again.
Well, you got a great quarterback at Boaz. Tyler Pierce has done a great job. And I think on the south side, you talk about Mason Teague. He's got that running game going. And I really think we need to give extra credit to the year. Jordan Bryan, again, filling in for Gage Sneesmith, that was injured early in the year. And Jordan Bryan has really stepped up, and he's really led this south side team to the postseason.
Just across the river up at Gadsden City at Titan Stadium. Gadsden City had the week off last week. Smart scheduling by Ali Smith. I think he knew he was probably going to be in the playoffs. And they're at home taking on the Gardendale Rockets. Gardendale 3-7. The buzz with Gadsden City going all the way back to the Etowah County Media Day from Coach Smith and the players, especially from the players, is, we were in the second round last year. We want to go further. We want to go deeper. We want to compete for a state championship. I think Gadsden City's got a team that can make a deep playoff run in 6A.
Well, and to do that, you got to have a good defense. And I think here in the last few weeks, we've seen Gadsden City improve defensively. Gardendale's kind of struggled on both sides of the football for the majority of the year. And I think a good opportunity here for the Titans, if they can keep that defense in check and continue to play well on that side of the football, they're going to have a shot to go 2 or 3 rounds and see what happens on down the stretch.
We mentioned 2 games at West Morgan Stadium. West Morgan will, obviously, that's their home field. They will play at Rebel Stadium. Playing host to the Etowah Blue Devils. Got to give a lot of credit to Blake Bone. They've gone through an interim coach, a coaching change very early in the season. Etowah's been kind of up and down this year, but they rallied and they won a playoff berth, and they're going on the road to take on a West Morgan team who's 10-0. This is a generational West Morgan team. This is the first time that they finished the season undefeated since 1972. So it's been 51 years, Tommy, since West Morgan has been 10-0.
And they've got the #1 offense in the state, regardless of classification, 55 points a game. They know how to light the scoreboard up. But I'm with you. I think Etowah is one of the great stories to go through so much chaos all year and then to find your way in the postseason. It's just credit to those coaches and those players for hanging in there. Derek
Sewell is a great guy, great football coach, but he has a task that a lot of folks just don't want to have to deal with, and that's going to Paul Benefield Stadium in Fife to take on #2 defending Class 2A state champion, the Fife Red Devils, coached by Paul Benefield. This is another big red machine that they have rolling. That's what they call them at Fife. It's a big red machine. West End in the playoffs for the second year in a row. A tough task going up on the mountain to take on Fife.
Well, and Fife got a big win last week over Sylvania, and I think that kind of sent a message across 2A that, hey, they're not dead. They're going to be in the thick of things again. You talk about Fife every year when you get in the postseason, they're playing their best football, and I see that again this time.
They are certainly the favorites to win the North once again, I think, out of Class 2A. Well, that's all the games in the first round of the playoffs involving teams here in East Alabama. This will be our last show of the year. I want to thank all our fine sponsors: EAN Local News, State Representative out of District 36, Randy Wood, Alabama Teachers Credit Union, Big Woody's Tires with Pitts Pickums, and of course, our title sponsor, the fine folks at Northeast Orthopedics. Great crew here. Tommy Wood, thank you so much for all of your insight and all the awesome information that he brought to us throughout the year. Join us tomorrow night. We'll have 3 more weeks tomorrow night, and then second round and quarterfinals of high school football Alabama's after the game. Facebook and YouTube with every score in the state of Alabama, setting the brackets, highlights, coaches' interviews, and a whole lot more tomorrow night at 10 o'clock right here on Facebook and YouTube. But we're not done yet. Nope. Name of the Pitts is coming up next with Pitts Pick'ems, presented by Big Woody's Tires. That's next on Before the Game.
It's been almost a year since East Alabama Now Local News began telling you what was happening in your community and on your street.
That's right. Local makes such a difference. And the great part is you can participate with us. Every weekday evening around 6:30 on either Facebook or YouTube, East Alabama Now Local News comes straight to you. Be sure to join us. Visit us on our Facebook page or our YouTube page. It's not local without you. Your news on your schedule.
Whether you're cheering for your team or chasing a personal fitness goal, nothing is more frustrating than an injury that keeps you from the things you love. At Northeast Orthopedics, we understand that life is constantly moving, and we are committed to making sure you keep moving as well. No matter your orthopedic need, Northeast Orthopedics has you covered with 6 convenient locations and 7 highly skilled surgeons. Visit us at northeastorthopedics.com for more information. Northeast Orthopedics, keeping you in motion.
Dedication to the people of this area and involvement in the issues that matter most to his constituents. These are the characteristics of State Representative Randy Wood. Randy was a small business owner for almost 4 decades. He's a member of the Weaver Lions Club, Fraternal Order of Police, and served 6 years in the Alabama National Guard. State Representative Randy Wood, proudly serving the people of District 36 since 2002.
Wrapping up this last edition of Before the Game High School Football Alabama, time for Namath Pits and Pits Pick'ems presented by Big Woody's Tires. John Holder, Namath Pits with you for the last time this year. Let's look at the record as we head into what is, I guess, week 12 of the high school season. Namath 71-39. Somewhere in the neighborhood of about 65%. Again, about 2 out of 3 this year. Not bad.
Yeah, that's the record, and it's not good, but that's okay. It's not about how you start, John. It's about how you finish.
Exactly right. We're going to finish strong. We have 10 games once again, 9 games involving teams here in East Alabama, 1 statewide game. So let's go ahead and jump in. First, right off the bat, Class 6A game. Couple of 8-2 teams here. This is, when you get into 6A ball, there really are no easy games in the playoffs. No gimmies. Oxford does not have a gimme. A tradition-rich Athens team coming into Lamar Field in the first round of the 6A playoffs.
Yeah, they have a similar offense in the way they like to pass the ball. Their numbers are about the same. They have a similar opponent in Hartselle, who they played this season. Both of them losing to Hartselle by possession. These two teams are similar in a lot of ways, but Oxford is a little more older. They're a little more mature. This is the time where they're really supposed to peak and show the improvement that they have made from the past 2 seasons under Sam Adams. Now, Athens' quarterback is a coach's son. He plays like a coach's son, the way he picks and digests a defense. But for me, this game is at Lamar Field, and that is the difference. The difference is Mason Mims and Kamari Hampton, their special connection they've had all season long. I'm going with the Oxford Yellow Jackets and Sam Adams.
Namath says Oxford moves on to round 2. Another team locally looking to move on to round 2, and they have a tough game coming up. Walter Wellborn on the hill, playing host to the Flomaton Hurricanes. They sit right on the Florida border down in Escambia County. The Hurricanes come blowing to the hill.
Yeah, Wellborn is really plagued by injuries right now, and this is a team that Coach Smith wanted to face in 2019, and here he is facing them now in the first round of the 2023 playoffs with a region championship team, his first ever as the head coach at Wellborn. And this is an interesting game. Flomaton comes up from the state line down towards Florida. They've got a really big line. They've got a really good running back. And Wellborn is coming off arguably, no disrespect to Cleveland County, but probably their worst loss of the season, a game that they were picked to win in. They were not picked to beat AHSAA or Anniston before those 2 games. And Jeff, obviously their team, again, plagued by injuries. But it's going to be interesting to see if they respond, because you have to respond or your season is over. I'm going to stick with my alma mater. I'm going to go with Wellborn at home. But I got to tell you, John, this region, they could all 4 be gone in the first round.
Flomaton, somewhere along the highway, will probably pass the Anniston Bulldogs, because Anniston is going to where they're coming from. They're going to Bruton, Alabama, to T.R. Miller to take on the Tigers, literally just about 10 miles up the road from Flomaton.
Yeah, Anniston has been to the South and won games they were not supposed to win. They did that in the playoffs a couple years ago. Then they went down to South Alabama Stadium and defeated a first-round opponent that year. Can they do the same again this year? T.R. Miller is fast. They're very physical. This is a really good traditional program. I think Anniston has been too inconsistent all season long. Are we going to get the Anniston team that played I'm going to be honest with you. I was going to say Jacksonville, but they got beat by Jacksonville pretty good. I just think Anniston's been a little too inconsistent this year. T.R. Miller's been a lot more consistent. I think Anniston's going to be a first-round exit team. I'm going with T.R. Miller.
Across Murder Creek in Bruton is East Bruton, home of the W.S. Neal Blue Eagles. They are also coming here to Central Alabama to take on Randolph County in Wedowee in the first round of the 3A playoffs.
Yeah, 3A Region 4 could all be gone in the first round. If anyone's going to win, I think it would be Welborn. I don't see Randolph County getting past W.S. Neal. I think this region obviously is a little bit of a weaker region in the state, obviously in Class 3A. Region 1 in Class 3A is one of the strongest regions in Class 3A. W.S. Neal has been really good. There was some rumors floating about them a week ago, but at this point it does not matter. They're in the playoffs. They've got a great team, very physical, and that's what they're going to have going to Randolph County. It's hard to go to Randolph County and beat Pat Prestridge, but I think W.S. Neal does it in the first round.
Class 1A play, the Winterboro Bulldogs headed to Morgan County. They'll be at West Morgan High School to play on Friday night, and they'll be taking on Decatur Heritage in Class 1A playoff action.
Yeah, this is a game that should have been Coosa Christian as the 1 seed. Instead, it's Decatur Heritage, and this is a team that is used to winning in Class 1A. Now, for Coach Mansfield, if his team is going to pull an upset, they're going to need a big game from Smoot running the ball. Now, personally, Decatur Heritage being at home, they have a little more experience than Winterboro. I do think Decatur Heritage is the better team position to position. And so, John, I'm going with Decatur Heritage to beat Winterboro in the first round.
Another interesting matchup coming up, two teams with sparkling records. We got to talking about the Moody Blue Devils, 8-2, going to Scottsboro Trammell Stadium to take on the 8-2 Scottsboro Wildcats in Class 5A playoff action.
I was back and forth on this one. Let's go ahead and go see who I picked because I'm pretty sure it's Moody if that is corrected, and it is Moody indeed. So there we go. I'm going with Moody. John, I actually leaned Scottsboro at one point in this game. I think this Moody region at Southside and Lee's, I'll be honest with you, I think they're a little down this year, and I think this Scottsboro region is a lot better. Gunnersville is a similar opponent between the two, but you pointed this out to me, and I will give credit where credit's due. John kind of helped me on this one right here. I used my phone a friend, I guess you could say, to try to get this 10-0, and I'm going with Moody. This is a bit of a revenge game. This is a team that they lost to a year ago, and they're looking for revenge. I think Moody gets it against Scottsboro.
Another St. Clair County team making the journey into Northeast Alabama in Class 1A. The Raglan Purple Devils going to Valley Head, a familiar opponent they played 6 times in the last 6 years.
Yeah, I think this region that you see with kind of the way things have fell with Wadley, Spring Garden, Raglan, I think it's probably a better region than this Coosa region head-to-head. Unfortunately for Valley Head, yes, they are hosting, due to Coosa Christian's forfeits, but they're hosting a Raglan team that I think is a very dangerous 3 seed, John. I think this is a team playing their best football at the right time, and I think the Purple Devils are certainly going to go on the road and get a first-round win over Valley Head.
Well, here's a tough pick right here. You've mentioned Coosa Christian a couple of times. A rematch in the first round of the playoffs. We don't see that very often, but a rematch of a regular season game in the first round. Coosa Christian, Spring Garden at the Garden. Coosa won the first time, 21-6 at Spring Garden. Now they play again at Jason Howard Field. 4th
game in 2 years. The 3rd of the 4 at Spring Garden. The 2nd one in the playoffs. Spring Garden, they're not fearful of Coosa Christian. They, matter of fact, believe they're going to win this rematch. They're going to win this game. For Marco Bryant and Coosa, it's personal. At least they say it is. It's going to be personal for both teams when these two teams take the field. The reasons, I don't need to get into them. You know them. But for me, it's going to be a question of can Spring Garden limit the turnovers? They have not been able to do that the past 2 times they've played Coosa Christian. John, I got to be honest with you. Spring Garden has not been the biggest fan of me, and unfortunately they're not going to be any happier after this pick, but I've got to go with who I think is going to be able to make more plays, and I think Coosa Christian has a little more talent, and I do think that the Conquerors win again at Spring Garden.
At least he's consistent. He began the season picking against Spring Garden, and he's going to close the season picking against Spring Garden.
Hold on, Coosa was my pick to win the 1A North at the beginning of the season. I'm not going to change that now. Even as a 3 seed, I still think they run the gauntlet and make it to the Super 7.
Last game involving local teams, Class 5A play Southside at home in a rematch with Boaz. This was a great game that went to overtime, a come-from-behind victory. Our high school football Alabama after the game team of the week for Southside when they won against Boaz the first time. That was at Barney Hood Stadium. This game also will be at Barney Hood Stadium at Southside.
Yeah, and the Pirates are riding high. They got a lot of momentum. They've played good football here down the stretch. Got that big win to get in the playoffs right here. This is a rematch, and it is hard to beat a team twice. And not very often do you see two teams meet in the first round in a rematch, but that's what's happening here. For Southside, they had to beat Etowah to get the 1 seed, and they did. Again, I think this is going to be a tough first round for this region featuring Southside, but I feel the best about them in terms of winning. I think Miles Holcomb's team beats them a second time and gets the job done.
And finally, our state game. We will be in 5A as well for this one. We're going to talk about the game between Leeds and Arab. Arab had a remarkable run last year in the playoffs. Can Lee Osment and the Arabian Knights do it again? Tough game at Homer Smiles Field in Leeds against the Leeds Green Wave.
Originally, I was going to go with the Knights, but I'm actually going with the Green Wave. Again, I'm kind of, man, this is those games, John, and I just don't know how they're going to go. It's like, is it going to be an ace 11? Probably not, but we're going to see. But I'm going with Leeds. I think they're going to have a little more speed, and I think that's going to be the difference in this game is the outside. I think Leeds is going to have a little more success hitting the outside. They've got to limit. This Arab team is very balanced. Lee Osmond's got a very balanced team. They obviously can throw the ball. They've got the ability to run the ball. Went on that run you talked about a year ago. I wouldn't be surprised if they did it again this year. This game could go either way. I flipped the coin. This time it says Leeds. Tomorrow, it could say Arab, but I don't guess it'll really matter because this is my last pick for the season.
Those are the 10 picks. Keep up with him tomorrow night. You can check them off on High School Football Alabama's After the Game. We'll have every score in the state of Alabama. We will have all of the second round matchups set for you, every score that you need, including that game and all the games that Namath picked. So we'll have that coming up for you tomorrow night on High School Football Alabama after the game at 10 o'clock live on Facebook and YouTube. Tell us about Big Woody's Tires for the last time this season.
Yeah, guys, let me tell you, make your way to Big Woody's Tires on Highway 202 in Anniston. That's the orange and black shop. Big Woody's, let me tell you, he loves football, and he loves the communities of this area. I know that personally. He supported them, but he's got a great business. They can get you new or used tires that are as good as any. Their prices, seriously, are the best. I mean, I know people that have told me, hey, I went and saw Big Woody, and, he beat anybody else. Or, hey, look, let me just say, my girlfriend's family in Tennessee heard about his prices and went, oh, that's pretty good prices right there for a tire shop. So his prices are legit. Again, they can do new used tires. Obviously, any size tire, they can get that for you. And again, big thank you to Big Woody for not just supporting us, but for just supporting me personally. And again, guys, please go see him. His business is top notch, great people. And we are sending our prayers to you, Big Woody. I know you're going to be watching this from the hospital. He's currently in the hospital. He's okay, dealing with some stomach things, but certainly lift a prayer up for him. We appreciate his support for this show.
Best wishes to Big Woody's. That's going to wrap it up not only for Before the Game, that's going to wrap it up for the year. Thank you for watching Before the Game, High School Football Alabama, presented by Northeast Orthopedics. We'll see you tomorrow night on After the Game.